People who have dated outside of your race culture. What's something interesting you learned by the experience? Just because they'll have sex with you, it doesn't mean they can't be racist. Someone can pursue you, find you sexy, go out of their way to have sex with you, even fetishize your race, all while also holding pretty fucked up racist views about you. My wife ended up really good at chopsticks, and I learned that fried catfish is actually pretty damn good. Honestly, I've learned a lot about how we're all people, and ultimately the divisions we make are maintained and artificial. The politics of plate fixing. You don't know Mexican cuisine until you've eaten Mexican food cooked by someone from the motherland. Once I began to understand their language, my in-laws lived with us for the first 5 years of our marriage. I wished I could go back to not understanding because the way of thinking was so old school and backwards. Was constantly SMH. Not myself, but something I learned from my white mother and black father is that love is absolutely real, and if you make the effort, relationships can be incredibly fulfilling. They were truly best friends. The only thing that separated them was death. My role models for what a loving relationship looks like. White guy married to Native American woman. Her family for the most part were very accepting. If anyone dared say anything, one of her elderly relatives would just say he takes really good care of her, and that would be the end of it. My family, on the other hand, my mom told me I was polluting the white race, even after telling me we were part Native our whole lives. The difference in how school officials treated my kids after seeing me was kinda wild. They would blow off my wife, but take me seriously. Anyhow, we'll be celebrating being married 36 years in a month, so I guess it's worked out. So looking back, I feel like an idiot. When I was in high school, I dated a black woman, Hispanic woman myself, and it was my first serious relationship. She told me she was relaxing her hair one day, and my stupid ass asked her, "Well, what exactly is your hair stressed out about?" That was the day I learned about textured hair care. That a lot of people really do take issue with a white guy dating a black girl. You can make her happy, smile, laugh, but some people really do take issue with it. On her side of the family at least, and so forth. I've had 3 long-term relationships, only one within my culture. I learned a language from one of them. She doesn't speak English. I learned that people are much more similar across countries and languages and cultures than we are made to feel. And on the flip side, it's fun to examine concepts which are utterly intrinsic to one of you, but completely backwards to the other. I learned just how prevalent and constant racism is. I'm not one of those. Racism doesn't exist anymore, guys. I was always aware, but dating a black girl made me witness firsthand how constant it is. Also, the looks we would get from usually older people was upsetting. How horribly ignorant I was, still am, and why I work on that. My Asian first love was a different type of Asian. Their culture looked down on ours. It broke me when I learned that her parents would never approve of us. This happened to me 21 years ago, and it still fucks with me to this day. I never stopped loving her. How prevalent racism is. Family and friends of your significant other unfortunately treat you negatively just because you aren't from the same culture. How horrible people's family can be. My ex-fiancé was Indian and I hated his mother. She was insane. I learned that Italian ladies are dead serious about cooking. Them finding out how racist their family actually is after you get introduced to them. In black, my longtime partner is white Hispanic. Race actually means something different in each culture. Like, my partner will say he's white, but his family doesn't identify as white. They identify as Puerto Rican, which I tell him isn't actually a race. But he says that in a lot of Latino Hispanic cultures, they don't see race as skin color, but more so culture or where they or their family originates from. At least for the most part. It's actually really complicated, but it's something interesting to learn. They can date you, fall in love with you, want to marry one, still be prejudiced against people who look just like you. Also, this might be more socioeconomic than race-related, but I was surprised by how formal, well-off white families can be with each other. Every party with my white ex-boyfriend's families felt like a voluntary work happy hour. The conversations were basically people reciting their resumes to each other. Did you finally get a job in your field yet? How's law school? Where are you working now? And on. No music, no dancing, no paper plates piled with food that makes you shimmy in your seat, no babies being passed from hip to hip, no laughter, no bear hugs. Just mimosas and the pressure to impress. I date a Latina. She's actually deathly allergic to punctuality. I've learned the best way to handle this is by telling her the event starts a half hour before it actually does.